Today, I just wanted to talk about the important principles you should be thinking through if you're investing or wanting to invest in property. Now, my name is Thomas O'Regan. I have an 11 property, me and my wife, have an 11 property portfolio, and I make these videos to help people get educated and learn how to invest in property and ultimately make a lot of money, become wealthy, and have the option to retire earlier or whatever you want to do. But basically, a lot of people, because the thing about investing in property is it's a very emotional thing. It can be a very emotional thing for a lot of people because a home is a place to live, right? And that is an emotional thing. But you need to, put your emotions aside when it comes to investing if you want to get the best result in terms of creating wealth and all that sort of stuff. So basically, if you see a property and you fall in love with it, that's not going to make you money. Like you being in love with the property isn't going to be the reason that property makes a lot of money. And just quite frankly, the how light filled the apartment is not going to be the reason it makes money. That's just like an emotional thing. Okay, so what property prices in terms of when you're investing in property, generally you're going to get a tenant in there to rent it, right? That's why it's called an investment property. You don't call your principal place of home an investment property. You don't technically, you are making you are making wealth, building wealth through buying principal place of residence here in Australia because property prices pretty much double every 10 years. But that's not really investing. Okay, so back to the point. With investing in property, how you feel about the property itself is completely irrelevant. Just please understand that. What is relevant is, will somebody pay money to live in this place? Will somebody, pay the right price to live here? What is the rental demand like in this area? Will this property get rent out? And that stuff is based a lot on supply and demand. If you are in a city hub, say for example, if you have a property in New York, the living conditions could be absolutely terrible comparing to some other city somewhere else, like Chicago or whatever. I don't know. But my point is, the supply and demand will dictate what the rental income is, and what you personally feel about that property is irrelevant. Okay, so I don't invest in share houses or anything like that. But to get the point across, someone is willing to rent a share house. You might not be willing to pay, say, $300 to live in a shared accommodation, but someone is. So if there's demand, then that's what the most important thing is. And it is not, does this place look nice? Just to hit that out. Now, the other thing that's important that people get emotional about is this property price going to go up, right? And again, it doesn't matter if it's nice because it is again based on supply and demand and market conditions, which will dictate whether the property goes up or not. So if your properties go through market cycles. So if you invest in a nice property that you think is very nice and it's at the bottom of a market cycle, you're in some sort of recession, it's the GFC, it doesn't matter if the property's nice because the market's fucked. Okay, so when you invest in property, you need to understand the market. You need to understand, is this property going to grow at this point in time? Is this type of property going to grow? Etc., etc. Just please understand, if you own your own home, the principles, the things you will think through to buy your own home just forget about them when it comes to investment property. Because what actually matters with investing in investment properties is what's the cash flow, the rent. Is it going to get rented? That's all in the cash flow part. What's the cash on cash return? How quickly am I going to get my money back, the money that I put in? And is it going to get capital growth? That's all. Like, that's all you need to think about when you're buying an investment property. And just to really drill in, there's no emotion in those three things. It's all logic and data. So that's how you make money in property. If you're buying investment properties, and don't think through, buying an investment property the same way you would buy your own home. Because if you do, you might only ever just own one property. And if you're very fortunate, maybe you might own 2 or 3, and you have 3 homes that you think are nice to live in, but they're not very good for investment purposes. They're probably going to cost you a lot of money to hold them. And you'll make some money in the long term, guaranteed, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas the way I invest in property doesn't cost me a lot of money. Actually, it doesn't really cost me any money because I use other people's money, OPM, to invest. I use loans to invest in property. I use equity to acquire the property, and I use rental income to cash flow the property. So it doesn't cost me any money to grow my property portfolio, and that's because I buy properties using the 3 principles: cash on cash return, cash flow, and capital growth. No emotions. All right, if that helped, just give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and a like. Maybe a comment would be great as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.